Tonight, as the world softens into quiet, I feel the gentle weight of this day settling onto me. My eyelids feel heavy, yet my mind lingers in the spaces between thoughts, catching fragments of what has been carried through these hours. I notice the subtle tension in my shoulders, the quiet pull in my chest, the faint ache in my limbs, all of it speaking softly of the moments I have tried to manage alone. It is here, in this stillness, that I allow myself to pause, to acknowledge these threads of worry and responsibility I have gathered. I am aware of them, not to resist or fix, but simply to notice, to let them speak their truth. There is a tiredness in my spirit that is neither shame nor weakness, only a quiet longing for relief, a gentle desire to rest without the insistence of having to carry it all by myself. I breathe slowly, and with each inhale, I invite calm to enter the spaces where tension has been, a delicate warmth spreading from my chest into my arms, my fingers, and down through my legs. Each breath is an invitation to release a little, a small unburdening that does not demand effort, only attention. I feel the night around me, the soft shadow of stillness pressing tenderly against my body, and I allow myself to be cradled by this quiet. It is a space made for gentle reflection, a time for my soul to exhale the cares I have been holding, the worries that seem heavier as the day closes. The air is cooler now, brushing softly against my skin, a subtle reminder that I am alive, yet I am safe to let go. As I sink deeper into the comfort of my bed, I begin to picture my hands open, resting easily at my sides. I imagine the heaviness I carry in these hands, the unseen burdens, the lingering anxieties, the responsibilities that feel too vast, gently resting there, almost tangible in their presence. I do not rush to change them or push them away. I simply notice the weight, naming it quietly to myself. The concerns about the hours I could not control, the echoes of conversations that linger, the expectations I tried to meet. Each named worry feels a little more distinct, a little less diffuse, as if seeing it clearly allows it to exist without suffocating me. There is a certain tenderness in naming what I carry, an act of recognition that honors both my struggle and my desire for peace. Tonight, these burdens feel heavier than usual. Some press upon me with familiar insistence, while others sneak quietly at the edges of my thoughts, small yet persistent. I acknowledge each one as it surfaces, without judgment, allowing myself to feel the texture of fatigue and the subtle ache of effort. I notice how my chest lifts and falls with each breath, how the rise and fall of my belly mirrors the gentle cadence of the night itself. The stillness around me seems to reflect what I long for within me. A pause, a reprieve, a softening of the constant insistence that I must hold everything together. It is a quiet invitation, a whispered permission to rest, to let the night bear some of the weight I have carried today. I sense a gentle rhythm emerging as I continue to breathe, a slow unfolding of calm through my body. The awareness of my burdens is paired now with the awareness of my breath, steady and present, a gentle tide that rocks me toward relief. I imagine the burdens loosening their grip, as if the night itself is coaxing them to drift just beyond my reach. There is no urgency here, no demand for instant release. Only the soft acknowledgement that I am ready to hand over what I cannot hold any longer. I feel a tender trust beginning to rise within me, subtle yet profound, a sense that it is permissible to place what weighs me down into hands stronger than mine. I can feel the beginnings of surrender not as defeat, but as a conscious act of care for myself, a small and sacred choice to stop carrying alone. The darkness around me deepens in hue, not threatening, but embracing, and I feel my heart lighten fractionally with the realization that I am allowed to set something down. I picture each burden as a small, tangible object in my palms, and I begin, quietly, to imagine releasing one. A thought, a worry, a tension. I lift it, I acknowledge it, and I imagine placing it gently into the unseen hands of God. It feels strange at first. This act of giving away what has defined the edge of my consciousness all day, yet there is a soft relief in the gesture, a tender lightness that begins to spread through my chest and down my limbs. I pause to feel this sensation, letting it soak into the quiet spaces around me, a small but meaningful shift in the weight I carry. I am mindful of the stillness that the night offers, a quiet companion that mirrors the calm I am seeking inside. I notice the gentle rhythm of the room, the soft sigh of air, the distant hum of life beyond my walls, and I let these sounds cradle me in their neutrality. They remind me that I am not alone in this pause, that the universe itself leans into rest, that there is a space of support beyond my own striving. With each breath, the tension in my body softens further. The muscles of my shoulders ease, the tightness in my jaw dissolves, the quiet flutter of thoughts begins to slow. I am aware of how my body meets the surface beneath me, how each point of contact offers support, a foundation beneath the release I am beginning to experience. And so, I linger here, in this sacred quiet, acknowledging the burdens that have traveled with me through the day, allowing myself to feel their presence fully, and sensing the first whispers of relief as I begin to let them go. I do not rush this process. There is no timetable for surrender. Instead, I dwell in the tender rhythm of awareness and release, of naming and softening. My heart begins to feel the subtle warmth of trust, the faint shimmer of peace that grows when I choose to lay down what I cannot carry alone. The night surrounds me, steady and gentle, a patient witness to my weary soul as it starts to breathe differently, more freely, more lightly. I continue to rest here, my hands open, my body cradled, my mind softening. I allow the awareness of burdens to coexist with the rising sense of calm, letting each named worry float briefly in the gentle tide of night before being released into care that is larger than my own. I feel a tender unfolding in my chest, a space opening where heaviness once sat unyielding. I am aware of this small liberation, the sensation of weight lifting incrementally, and I let it settle fully into me. With each breath, I am reminded that surrender is not a loss, but a sacred allowance for restoration, a quiet and loving act toward myself, toward the one who holds me in the night. As I remain here, still and quiet, I allow the softness of the night to settle more deeply around me, pressing against my skin like a gentle hand of reassurance. I feel the rhythmic rise and fall of my chest, each breath a small, sacred pulse, reminding me that I am alive and that life continues even when I pause. Tonight, these burdens feel persistent, threading through my thoughts, but I sense that acknowledging them fully is the first step toward letting them go. I do not rush. I do not force. I simply allow myself to notice what is heavy, what presses, what lingers just beneath the surface. I name them quietly in my heart. The decisions I struggled to make, the conversations I wish had gone differently, the worry for people and places beyond my reach. Each one feels real, and each one is welcomed into the gentle stillness I am cultivating, given the dignity of being recognized without judgment or shame. I picture my hands again, open and resting lightly at my sides, a small, tangible invitation for release. The burdens feel more distinct now, each with its own texture, its own subtle weight. Some are like small stones, familiar in their solidity, while others drift like fragile feathers, easily swept by a single breath. I lift one slowly, examining it in the quiet of my mind, and I sense its presence fully. I whisper it into the night, not as a demand for it to disappear, but as an acknowledgement that I no longer need to carry it alone. I imagine the weight shifting gently from my palms into the waiting space of God's hands, a transfer that feels natural, intimate, and profoundly relieving. There is no hurry, no expectation, only the patient rhythm of giving and receiving care that is deeper than I can hold alone. As this first burden leaves my hands, I feel a subtle expansion in my chest, a quiet lightness that was absent moments ago. It spreads slowly through my shoulders, down my arms, through my back, as if the space it once occupied now breathes freely. I pause here to linger in this sensation, noticing how tangible the relief is, even if only for a moment. It is a small miracle of release, a whisper of grace in the rhythm of night. I sense the invitation to continue, to let the next burden rise in my awareness, and I accept it with gentle curiosity rather than anxiety. Each one is unique, yet each responds to this same act of surrender, a sacred exchange of heaviness for calm. I allow my mind to drift, not in distraction, but in gentle observation, noticing how thoughts of the day emerge like waves on a quiet shore. I see them, not as obstacles, but as companions to guide me toward what I need to release. There is a subtle power in simply naming them aloud in my heart. This one feels heavy. I place it in your care. I repeat this quietly for each lingering worry, letting the words fall softly over them, like a breeze lifting leaves from the ground. With each release, I notice a gentle clarity forming, a quiet space within my chest that begins to feel more spacious, more open, more capable of receiving peace. The weight diminishes incrementally, yet the relief deepens profoundly, like the first hint of sunrise touching the horizon of my soul. Tonight, I sense the quiet presence of God near me, not in grand gestures, but in the tender intimacy of this moment. I feel the warmth of watchful care around each burden, the gentle cradle of attention that does not demand explanation or perfection. I place the next worry into these hands with a sense of reverent trust, sensing it dissolve quietly into care that is wiser, steadier, and infinitely patient. I notice how each release feels like a drop of water leaving a stone, leaving space for softness, for calm, for the quiet joy of being unencumbered. I linger in the warmth of this sensation, savoring the subtle expansion, the quiet lift of my shoulders, the ease of breath flowing freely. I sense the night moving around me, each sound, each shadow, each whisper of air reinforcing the gentle rhythm of surrender. I imagine the burdens I have named forming small shapes of light as they rise, floating toward God's hands, where they are received fully without pressure or expectation. There is a sense of awe in the simplicity of this act, a profound intimacy in knowing that what I cannot hold, what is pressed upon me with quiet insistence, is being cared for completely. I rest here in this awareness, feeling the slow, patient unfolding of relief, the gentle erosion of tension, the tender widening of my chest and my heart. I allow myself to linger in the sensation of trust, of leaning into care that is larger than my own, and I sense how slowly this lightness spreads through my body. My legs feel heavier against the bed, yet in that heaviness is a paradoxical freedom, a quiet grounding that makes me feel safe, fully supported, fully held. The burdens that remain are fewer, smaller, softer in their insistence, each waiting for its turn to be released, and I feel a profound gratitude for this intimate, unhurried exchange. I breathe into the spaces that were once tight and tense, inviting the night to continue its work alongside me. As I prepare to rest deeper into the quiet, I sense the cumulative effect of these small acts of release. Each named worry, each lifted burden, has begun to shift something within me, a subtle alignment that brings peace. I notice how natural it feels to let go, how much lighter my mind feels, how much softer my chest feels, how my body gently sinks into the cradle of my bed. There is a rhythm here that I can follow, a sacred cadence that moves me slowly toward complete rest. I allow my awareness to soften further, letting the night and the tender presence of God continue their quiet work, carrying what I can no longer hold. I linger in this stillness, savoring the gentle expansion of relief, the intimacy of surrender, the quiet promise of unburdened rest. The tension in my body continues to soften, my mind quiets, and my heart feels the subtle warmth of release, of trust, of care received. I am beginning to understand, in this gentle and patient moment, that the act of giving over my burdens is not a loss, but a quiet restoration, a tender preparation for the peace that is already waiting for me in sleep. And as I breathe, and as I release, I feel the first whispers of freedom brushing softly across my spirit, an unhurried invitation to sink deeper into safety, into calm, into rest. I notice the subtle shifting within me as the burdens I have named begin to feel less like weights pressing down, and more like small stones I have gently set aside. There is a soft space opening in my chest, a quiet hollow that is neither empty nor lonely, but tender and expectant, as if ready to receive calm. I linger here, feeling the difference between carrying and releasing, noticing the small, miraculous relief that spreads slowly from my heart into my limbs, down through my legs, and out into the tips of my fingers. Each breath deepens this sensation, drawing the awareness of ease into places I had forgotten held tension. I allow myself to sense this new lightness fully, letting it permeate every part of me, a gentle counterbalance to the day's lingering heaviness. I imagine the burdens that remain, not as obstacles, but as soft, pliable shapes in my hands, ready to be offered again into the care I am learning to trust. With each one, I take a moment to pause and recognize it, allowing myself to see its edges, its texture, its subtle insistence. Tonight, I am learning to place these weights not into the empty air, but into hands that are steady, loving, and unwavering. I feel the first real flickers of freedom as each burden lifts, an almost imperceptible lightness that grows in the quiet. There is a tenderness in this exchange, a reverent intimacy in the act of surrender that fills me with warmth, as if my heart itself is exhaling after a long day of holding. The room is hushed around me, and I notice how the shadows stretch and soften with the night. I feel the gentle rhythm of the air brushing against my skin, the faint warmth of the blankets, the way my body sinks into the mattress, supported yet free. Each breath I take seems to carry the remnants of tension out into this quiet space, letting it dissipate like mist on a morning lake. I am beginning to understand how gentle release can feel. Not dramatic, not sudden, but patient, tender, like water slowly smoothing a rough stone. The night becomes an ally, a steady presence that mirrors the calm I am inviting into my own spirit. I allow myself to dwell on this sensation of lightness, noticing the contrast with the heaviness that once occupied me. It is subtle, a quiet shift, almost imperceptible, yet profoundly comforting. I imagine the last remaining burdens as small, delicate shapes, rising slowly from my hands into the waiting care of God, where they are received fully, lovingly, and without need for explanation. There is a profound intimacy in this process, a gentle reassurance that what I cannot hold alone is already being held, not as an obligation, but as an act of grace. I linger here, letting the release sink in, feeling the calm spread from the center of my chest outward, a soft ripple that reaches the tips of my toes and the ends of my fingers. As I breathe, I notice the subtle quiet in my mind, the slow stilling of thought after thought, each one gently recognized and then released. There is no rush, no expectation, only the soft unfolding of calm and trust. I sense how the very act of noticing and giving away what weighs me down creates a tender intimacy with care that is larger than my own. My shoulders begin to relax completely. The tightness in my jaw softens, and the fluttering thoughts in my mind begin to dissolve into a gentle rhythm, like leaves drifting slowly on a quiet river. I am aware of the lightness spreading through my body, a tangible relief that seems to settle into my bones and into my heart. I imagine the night as a soft, protective cloak, wrapping me in its calm, carrying the burdens I have released, and leaving space for a quiet freedom I have not felt in some time. Each worry, each tension, each subtle ache is placed carefully into this cloak, which holds them safely while I rest. I feel my body sinking deeper into comfort, fully supported yet buoyant in the way that only surrender can bring. The relief is not fleeting. It is steady, patient, and tender, a quiet assurance that what I release is not lost, but transformed into care that surrounds me even as I drift toward sleep. I allow myself to notice the quiet joy in this release, not the loud joy of celebration, but a soft, steady warmth that grows as I continue to surrender. The burdens that linger are light enough now to be almost imperceptible, each one held delicately in trust rather than in tension. I sense a profound intimacy in this moment, a sacred understanding that letting go is not weakness, but a gentle act of faith, an invitation to experience freedom in the quietest, most tender way. I feel the soft unfolding of trust in my chest, an expansion that allows me to breathe more fully, rest more deeply, and lean into care that has been waiting patiently for me all along. I imagine the very air around me filling with this quiet lightness, carrying it gently into every part of my being. My arms feel lighter, my legs more pliant, my mind quieter, and my heart softens in a way that feels almost tangible. There is no urgency here, only the slow, tender unfolding of peace as I continue to release, to trust, and to rest. I linger in this space, savoring the sensation of relief, the intimacy of surrender, the quiet beauty of knowing that the burdens I cannot carry are already being held. I feel a subtle shift in every fiber of my being, an almost imperceptible lift, a soft rising of calm that fills me entirely. And so I rest here, fully present in the gentle rhythm of night, fully aware of the freedom that comes from release, fully enveloped in care that is larger than my own. I feel the quiet spreading through me like warm sunlight through a calm morning mist, steady, soft, and unwavering. The act of surrender has opened a space within me that is tender, light, and ready to receive rest. I linger in this sensation, letting it deepen, letting it expand, letting it carry me gently toward the place where burdens fade, and peace is all that remains. I sense the gentle invitation to bring my awareness fully to my hands once again, resting quietly in my lap or at my sides, open and ready. Tonight, I allow myself to notice the last lingering burdens with tender clarity, not with resistance or worry, but with a soft curiosity, a desire to meet them with honesty and release. I name each one silently, giving it its shape, its weight, its place in the quiet of my heart. Some are familiar, worn with repetition. Some are new, pressing unexpectedly, and all of them are real. I do not push them away. I simply acknowledge them as part of the story of today, a story that is safe to set down. My hands feel ready now, a quiet readiness to receive, to hold, and then to let go into care that is steady and unshakable. I begin to visualize these burdens more tangibly, each one resting in my palms like a small, solid object. Some are smooth stones, heavy but manageable. Some are delicate feathers, fragile and easily lifted. Some are soft cloths, folded carefully yet insistent in their presence. I lift the first, feeling its weight fully, sensing where it presses against me, how it makes my shoulders tighten, how it pulls on my chest. And then, with the gentlest movement, I imagine placing it into the waiting hands of God. I feel the transfer in my chest, a soft loosening of tension, a subtle exhale that seems to originate deep within my lungs. There is no hurry, no need to rush this act of surrender. It is quiet, deliberate, intimate, and profoundly comforting. As I place each burden into God's hands, I notice the effect on my body and my mind. My shoulders drop a fraction, my jaw softens, the pulse in my temples eases. There is a sensation like gentle rain washing over the tension, dissolving it slowly, leaving a soft warmth behind. I linger in this relief, letting it sink fully into me, noticing how tangible it feels to no longer be responsible for what I cannot carry alone. Each burden placed is a gift I give myself, a quiet act of trust, a whispered acknowledgement that I am not meant to bear the weight of everything. The night supports this release, holding me safely as I hand over what is pressed upon me, and I feel the subtle power of letting go, the deep satisfaction of allowing care beyond myself to enter. I notice how my heart begins to feel lighter, more spacious, as if each burden I release creates room for something tender and restorative to grow. There is a delicate sensation in my chest, a warmth that spreads slowly through my torso and into my limbs. My fingers feel unbound, my arms relaxed, my body sinking ever deeper into the embrace of the mattress beneath me. Each breath carries a fraction more calm, a fraction more trust, a quiet assurance that what I have placed into care is received completely, lovingly, and without judgment. I rest in the simplicity of this exchange, fully aware that surrender is not about weakness, but about a sacred, intimate collaboration with care that is larger than I am. As I continue, I notice that some burdens rise to the surface not as weights, but as subtle currents of worry, anxious thoughts, or fleeting tensions. I lift them one by one, naming them with honesty, and imagine them dissolving as they enter the steady hands of God. Some dissolve immediately, softening into light, almost imperceptible. Others linger slightly before letting go, reminding me that release is a process, not a single moment. I allow myself to be patient with each one, feeling the rhythm of surrender as a tender, breathing presence that moves through me slowly, deliberately, and without expectation. I notice how the relief spreads from my chest into my shoulders, down my arms, into my legs, and even into the soles of my feet. It is a quiet liberation, a soft unburdening that carries a subtle joy. I imagine the warmth of God's hands as they receive these burdens, steady and unwavering, gentle yet strong, holding what I cannot hold alone with care I cannot fully comprehend. I picture each one placed with precision and love, dissolving softly into a calm that feels expansive and enduring. There is a profound intimacy in this act, a sense that even the smallest, most private anxieties are received fully, with patience and tenderness. I rest in this presence, feeling how completely I am supported, how fully my trust can rest without hesitation. Each burden left in these hands creates more room within me for peace, for lightness, for the soft, restorative freedom of being unencumbered. I sense the night itself participating in this exchange, holding the released weight gently, pressing softly against my body with reassurance and safety. I notice how the air seems to carry the lightness, how the shadows deepen without pressure, how the stillness invites me to linger in relief. I breathe slowly, deliberately, letting the sensation of unburdened calm ripple through me, appreciating the subtle difference between the heaviness I once carried and the tender freedom I feel now. I feel a quiet gratitude in my chest for the act of surrender itself, for the intimate release, for the gentle expansion of space within me. And so I continue one by one, until the final traces of weight I have carried today feel safely held beyond me. I notice the cumulative effect, the subtle lift in my chest, the softening of my shoulders, the ease of breath that flows freely without obstruction. I am aware of the tenderness, the intimacy, the profound trust that has grown with each act of release. I rest in this sensation, allowing the relief to deepen further, letting it permeate every corner of my being. The burdens are no longer pressing, no longer defining my awareness, no longer shaping the rhythm of my body or my thoughts. They have been entrusted, held, and transformed into calm, and I feel a quiet, profound sense of liberation. I linger in the quiet after placing the last of my burdens into care, noticing the profound stillness that surrounds me. It is a soft, protective silence, neither empty nor stark, but comforting, as if the night itself has bent low to cradle me. I feel the gentle rise and fall of my chest, the slow rhythm of breath that has become a quiet guide, reminding me of the steady life pulsing within. Each inhale carries with it the warmth of trust, each exhale a release of what no longer needs to be mine to hold. I feel my shoulders settling, my arms loosening, my fingers uncurling as if they too are discovering the relief of no longer grasping tightly. There is a subtle lightness in my limbs, a fluidity I have not felt in hours or even days, and I allow myself to explore this sensation fully, savoring it without hurry, without expectation. I imagine a gentle, golden warmth beginning to spread from the center of my chest, radiating slowly outward with each breath. This warmth moves like sunlight across soft, rolling hills, brushing against my shoulders, my arms, and my back, dissolving any remaining tension along the way. It moves down my legs, through the soles of my feet, and even into the tips of my fingers, reaching the far edges of my body in a slow, deliberate embrace. I feel the weight of the day lifting with it, a gradual softening, a sense that each lingering worry, each quiet anxiety, is being absorbed into care beyond myself. There is a tender joy in this freedom, subtle and patient, a quiet reassurance that the burdens I carried are no longer my own. I allow myself to notice the gentle emotions that rise in response to this release. There is relief, yes, but also a quiet gratitude, a soft peace, and an intimacy with care that I have not always paused to feel. I sense the subtle trembling of release in my chest, a gentle acknowledgement of the effort it took to carry what I have just entrusted. I welcome these feelings, breathing into them with tenderness, letting them spread through me without resistance. I feel a quiet smile forming, not a sudden laughter, but a soft, inward acknowledgement of the sanctuary that has emerged within me, a sanctuary that exists simply because I have allowed myself to surrender. The night seems to respond to this surrender, folding gently around me, pressing lightly yet securely against my body. I notice how the air brushes against my skin, the softness of the blankets holding me, the muted shadows dancing slowly across the room. Each sound is tender, each movement quiet, each sensation a confirmation that I am safe, fully supported, fully seen. I rest in this awareness, sensing that the night itself has become a vessel for the relief I have begun to feel, holding me as I release the final threads of tension, worry, and exhaustion. There is a profound intimacy in this, a sense that even the quietest moments of trust are sacred and wholly received. I imagine the final burdens I once held in my mind now dissolving like morning mist into the warmth of God's care, softening and fading until they are no longer present in my awareness. I sense the freedom this creates within me, not a loud or dramatic freedom, but a gentle lifting, a quiet expansion of space inside my chest, my mind, and my heart. I notice how much lighter my limbs feel, how much more fluid my thoughts have become, how my breathing flows easily, uninterrupted. I feel the gradual spreading of relief into the farthest reaches of my body, a patient and tender liberation that seems to settle into every cell, every nerve, every quiet space within me. As I breathe in, I sense the night carrying with it a gentle affirmation that I am enough, that I am cared for, that I do not need to bear all of this alone. With each exhale, I let go a little more, feeling the final fragments of worry loosen their grip, dissolving into the quiet trust I have cultivated. I imagine my hands resting lightly on the bed, palms up, open, ready to continue receiving this calm. I notice the subtle pulse of relief in my chest, a rhythm that mirrors the slow unfolding of night, steady, soft, unhurried. I linger here, letting the warmth and ease fill me completely, sensing a quiet shift from tension to freedom, from effort to surrender. I allow myself to feel the safety that comes from surrender, the subtle joy in knowing I am not alone, the profound intimacy of being held fully even in the smallest, quietest ways. I sense the lingering heartbeat of care moving gently through my body, like a slow, steady river flowing through a once dry valley. It moves through me with patience, with tenderness, and I allow myself to rest in the fullness of it. I notice how naturally my body begins to soften even more, how the muscles of my face, neck, and shoulders melt into rest, how my limbs become heavy in a comforting, grounding way. I rest fully in this warmth, this tenderness, this intimate presence, feeling the burdens of the day completely removed from my grasp. I feel a gentle, unhurried expansion of trust in my heart, a quiet assurance that even the smallest cares I carried are now held securely, lovingly, endlessly. I linger here, letting the relief settle deeper, letting the calm extend into every corner of my being, until I feel a soft, patient lightness that seems to emanate from within, filling me entirely. I am aware of the subtle, tender pulse of freedom, a quiet, loving buoyancy that rests with me now, guiding me ever more gently toward rest. I feel the lingering warmth in my chest expand slowly, radiating outward in waves of gentle calm. Each breath I take carries this quiet peace deeper into my body, as if the very air itself is infused with a tender softness, moving through every corner, every muscle, every subtle tension I once held. I notice how my shoulders settle further, how my arms and legs feel heavier in the most comforting way, as if the mattress itself is embracing me, supporting me completely while allowing me to release fully. There is no need for effort here. The act of simply resting, of being present, of breathing deliberately, is enough to let the calm deepen and fill me. I imagine the burdens I carried through the day now dissolving entirely, like fine grains of sand slipping through my fingers, leaving only the smooth surface beneath, steady and reassuring. There is a tangible softness in this release, a texture of care that feels like a warm, slow river moving through me, washing gently over every anxious thought and residual worry. I sense the subtle echoes of my body responding. The loosened jaw, the softened chest, the gentle ease in my legs and feet. The tension that once defined the edges of my awareness has begun to melt, replaced by a delicate buoyancy, a quiet freedom that does not rush, does not insist, only allows. I rest in this sensation, feeling the intimacy of this tender care settle fully into my awareness. Each burden I have surrendered seems to radiate its own quiet light, blending with the warmth in my chest to create a subtle glow that spreads through my entire being. It moves like the slow turning of the sky at dusk, a steady, patient unfolding of calm, steady and encompassing. I notice how my hands rest lightly on the bed, relaxed, open, and receptive, and how even the smallest points of contact with the surface beneath me feel comforting, steady, and safe. I allow myself to linger in this sensation, letting the night hold me, letting the care I have entrusted carry the burdens I no longer need to bear. The rhythm of my breathing begins to slow naturally, each inhale drawing in calm, each exhale releasing what remains of the day's tension. I sense a gentle flow, like a river meandering through a quiet valley, carrying softness, carrying trust, carrying ease. With each breath, I feel the subtle weight of my body melting deeper into rest, the pressure of the mattress supporting me fully, the warmth of blankets holding me tenderly, and the quiet assurance of care surrounding me completely. I allow myself to imagine that the very air in the room is infused with peace, moving slowly around me, brushing gently across my skin, and filling every empty space left by what I have released. I notice how my mind drifts less in worry and more in gentle awareness, catching fragments of thought and letting them float away like leaves on a slow river. There's no tension, no urgency, only the soft movement of release and trust. I allow myself to feel the subtle joy in this quiet liberation, a tender intimacy with the present moment, a recognition that the burdens I have carried are no longer pressing against me. I sense the cumulative effect of all I have surrendered tonight, a profound relaxation, a quiet stillness, a gentle warmth in my chest, and a soft weightlessness in my limbs. I begin to visualize myself completely held, not just by the bed beneath me, not just by the blankets, but by a presence far larger than my own, tender and patient, steady and unwavering. I imagine my burdens resting fully in this care, each one transformed into calm, each one received completely, each one dissolved into trust. I feel the subtle expansion of my heart as relief spreads through me like sunlight, warming a quiet, shadowed room. There is a softness in every corner of my awareness, a gentle reassurance in every breath, a delicate buoyancy in every limb. I sense how natural it feels to release fully, to lean entirely into care, to let go of what I no longer need to hold. I notice how the quiet deepens with every moment, how the stillness becomes more intimate, more protective, more complete. I feel the relief spreading through my body in subtle waves, a gentle lift in my chest, a soft relaxation in my shoulders, a slow, grounding weight in my legs. My mind feels quieter, my heart feels softer, and my spirit feels gently cradled in this tender embrace. There is a profound sense of intimacy in this moment, a sacred trust in the act of resting fully, of letting go completely, of leaning into peace that has been waiting patiently all along. I linger here, fully aware of the sensations of calm, of warmth, of freedom that now fill me. I allow them to permeate every cell, every muscle, every thought. The night holds me tenderly, the air moves around me softly, and the quiet care that has received my burdens continues to embrace me. I feel a profound sense of safety, a gentle, unhurried comfort, a deep, patient calm that I have not often allowed myself to know so fully. The world outside fades gently, and the rhythm of my body, my breath, and my spirit carries me toward a place of complete surrender, a place where only softness, only trust, only peace remains. I feel the night pressing softly against me, a quiet embrace that holds me tenderly without effort or demand. I notice the subtle shifts in my body as every muscle begins to release completely, surrendering to the stillness beneath me. My arms rest lightly at my sides, my legs feel pleasantly heavy yet supported, and even my hands and fingers seem to let go of the small tensions I rarely notice. There is a gentle quiet within me, a calm I can feel in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between breaths, in the slow rise and fall of my chest. Each moment of awareness brings me closer to a sense of weightlessness, a feeling that my body and spirit are both cradled and free. I imagine my spirit as a gentle feather, lifted by a breeze that carries no hurry, no expectation, only tender care. The burdens I have placed in God's hands seem to float there, secure, as my own body relaxes into the support beneath me. There is a profound relief in knowing that what was heavy is now held steadily, with love that does not tire, with patience that does not fade. I breathe slowly, feeling the calm spread from my heart through every limb, through the subtle edges of my mind, into the farthest corners of my awareness. With every exhale, I let go a little more, noticing how effortlessly the body softens, how naturally my mind quiets, how deeply the heart can rest. I allow myself to feel the quiet joy of freedom. It is not a loud or sudden joy, but a slow, warm current that moves through me gently, easing every subtle strain, softening every lingering worry. I feel the gentle lightness of being entirely unburdened, a sensation that seems to ripple softly through my chest, my shoulders, my arms, down through my legs into the tips of my toes. It is a soothing presence, a quiet reassurance that everything I have carried is safely received, and I'm free to rest fully, deeply, and without concern. Each breath becomes a small gift of restoration, each pause a reminder of the care that holds me. I sense the night around me deepening in stillness, folding over me like a protective cloak, and I allow myself to feel enveloped in it completely. The air is soft against my skin, steady and calm, carrying the quiet warmth of peace into every nerve, every sinew, every subtle point of tension that remains. I imagine the freedom I feel spreading outward from my chest, like ripples on a calm pond, touching every part of me, reaching beyond my awareness, filling the space within with lightness and ease. There is a quiet intimacy here, a gentle presence that reassures me I am safe, fully seen, fully held, and completely allowed to rest. I let my awareness linger on the sensation of my body fully supported, yet wonderfully unburdened. The head rests easily on the pillow, the neck relaxed, the jaw softened. My arms feel loose and supple, my hands open and resting lightly. My legs sink gently into the bed, yet the release does not feel heavy, only profoundly comforting. I notice how naturally my body seems to float in the quiet, a gentle buoyancy that comes from surrendering fully, from trusting that I no longer need to hold what I have released. The freedom is subtle, but unmistakable, and I allow it to fill me completely. I feel my mind following the body into this lightness. Thoughts drift by like clouds in a slow, endless sky, observed without attachment, without insistence, and allowed to move along without interference. There is no urgency, no expectation, only the gentle unfolding of quiet awareness, the patient rhythm of breath, the soft pulse of freedom flowing steadily through me. I notice how even my heartbeat seems to slow, steadying in alignment with the peaceful rhythm of the night. I rest in the sensation of this calm, letting it settle fully into every corner of my awareness. I sense the night as a companion, tender and unhurried, moving with me into this delicate space of freedom. Each inhalation brings a deep, restorative calm. Each exhalation releases the final subtle traces of effort, worry, or tension. I feel my body almost weightless, my spirit soft, and my heart open in the quiet intimacy of this moment. There is no longer any need to hold, to worry, to strive. I rest in the delicate assurance that all that I have released is safe, all that I have entrusted is cared for, and all that remains is the gentle unfolding of peace. I allow myself to dwell fully in this experience, noticing the interplay of lightness and support, of calm and intimacy, of quiet trust and tender freedom. The sensation of being completely unburdened flows through me, quiet and constant, a soft undercurrent beneath every thought, every breath, every subtle movement of the body. I feel the gentle expansion of trust and release merging seamlessly, a harmony that carries me slowly, steadily, tenderly toward deeper rest. I rest in this rhythm, letting it guide me beyond the day, beyond worry, beyond effort, into the serene embrace of night. I notice how fully the night has settled around me, soft and patient, like a quiet tide that rises gently to hold every part of me. My body feels entirely supported, my limbs heavy yet weightless, my chest open and calm, my mind resting in the quiet space between thoughts. I sense the final threads of tension, effort, and worry loosening completely, unraveling gently, as if each one knows it no longer has a place here. I allow myself to feel this profound relief, letting it spread like a slow, warm current through my chest, my shoulders, down through my arms, my legs, into the tips of my fingers and toes. Each part of me is touched by the soft release, and I rest fully in it, trusting completely that the care I have given my burdens is steady and enduring. I imagine the very essence of peace flowing into me with each breath, a tender lightness that moves through every sinew, every muscle, every corner of my awareness. The air around me seems infused with this calm, carrying it gently across my skin, brushing softly against my face, settling over my shoulders, wrapping around me like a quiet embrace. I allow myself to notice the intimacy of this moment, the deep, unhurried presence of care that holds me completely, and I sink further into the softness, the warmth, the patient steadiness of it all. I sense that everything I have carried, every lingering worry, every quiet ache, is now received fully, held in hands that are infinitely steady and tender. I let my mind drift gently, not into worry, not into thought, but into the sensation of freedom itself. It feels almost tangible, like a soft, pliable fabric that stretches across my awareness, filling the spaces left by what I have released. I notice how my body responds to this freedom. My jaw unclenches, my shoulders sink, my fingers rest easily, my legs relax completely. Each subtle release is a gentle affirmation of the trust I have cultivated tonight, a quiet acknowledgement that I do not need to carry what has been placed in care. I allow myself to feel the full impact of this release, the soft, unhurried joy of knowing that I am free to rest without responsibility, free to be held entirely, free to surrender fully. I imagine my spirit as a small, delicate boat floating on a quiet, endless sea. The water is calm, smooth, tenderly supporting every inch of me. Each wave carries the assurance of care, the intimacy of protection, the steady rhythm of peace that has held me through the day and will continue to hold me through the night. I feel the buoyancy beneath me, the soft lift in my chest, the gentle movement of freedom flowing through every fiber of my being. I rest in this sensation, allowing it to grow, deepen, and permeate every part of me, until it becomes a quiet, continuous hum of calm that aligns perfectly with the rhythm of my breath. I sense the night as a slow, patient companion, moving with me, carrying me gently toward complete surrender. The air around me is still, the shadows softened, the quiet unbroken, and I feel as though even the room itself leans in to support this active release. I notice how my body and mind respond to this environment. My breathing slows naturally, each inhale drawing in warmth and reassurance, each exhale letting go what remains of tension. I rest in this delicate balance, feeling the soft interplay of letting go and being held, of freedom and support, of surrender and care. I allow myself to feel the subtle weightlessness of complete release, the tender intimacy of being fully unburdened, and the profound calm that comes from trusting entirely in care beyond myself. There is a quiet joy here, soft and patient, a steady warmth that spreads through my chest, my shoulders, my arms, my legs, and even into the farthest edges of my awareness. I sense that nothing remains to be carried, no lingering worries pressing on my heart, no hidden anxieties tightening my mind. Everything is held, everything is received, and I am free to rest fully, deeply, completely. I notice how naturally my body begins to drift, sinking further into comfort, supported and safe. My limbs rest easily, my chest rises and falls with steady calm, my fingers and toes are heavy yet tender, and my mind is quiet, open, and soft. I feel the profound intimacy of surrendering completely, of allowing every part of me to be received fully, of letting go without hesitation, without concern, without lingering grasp. The night, the care, the peace I have received all converge in this delicate stillness, guiding me gently, unhurriedly, toward sleep. I linger in this sacred quiet, noticing how the soft rhythm of breath, the gentle warmth in my chest, the subtle buoyancy of my body, and the intimate presence of care all weave together into a single tender thread of serenity. I rest in it completely, allowing the freedom I have gained to carry me slowly, patiently, lovingly toward the threshold of sleep. My body, my mind, my spirit are aligned in this quiet intimacy, ready to drift fully into the restorative calm of the night. I feel the tender rhythm of my breath guiding me now. Slow, steady, unhurried, each inhale carrying warmth, each exhale carrying away the last traces of tension. My body rests fully, heavy yet buoyant, cradled in the gentle support beneath me. Every muscle, every joint, every subtle point of strain has softened, melted into the quiet comfort of this moment. I notice the soft warmth radiating from my chest, a calm presence that seems to expand outward, reaching every limb, every fingertip, every toe. The freedom of having released my burdens is palpable, a delicate lightness that flows through me like water over smooth stones, filling every corner of my being. I imagine the night itself bending close, folding softly around me, pressing gently without weight, offering the quiet intimacy of safety and care. The air brushes tenderly against my skin, the blankets hold me with patient warmth, and the quiet hum of the room settles into a steady, comforting pulse. I allow myself to notice the profound relief of being fully unburdened, the subtle joy of knowing I am cared for beyond measure, the intimate quiet of being fully received. Every thought drifts slowly past, uninsistent, and every tension left behind feels absorbed into a presence far greater than my own. I rest in this awareness, fully aware of how deeply I am supported. I sense my spirit floating now, as if carried on a gentle current of peace. The burdens I once held are no longer pressing against me. They have dissolved into care, into steady, patient hands that hold them securely. I feel the freedom this creates, the subtle expansion of space within my chest and mind, a quiet unbinding that allows every part of me to rest fully. My heart feels lighter than it has in hours, my shoulders release entirely, and the calm flows into my arms and legs, moving down to the very tips of my fingers and toes. The night carries me tenderly, like a slow, unwavering tide, and I feel the gentle intimacy of being wholly unburdened. I notice how naturally my mind drifts, thoughts floating like delicate clouds across a serene sky, soft and slow, without need for attention or effort. Each breath carries me deeper into this quiet, a rhythm that seems perfectly aligned with the pulse of peace that surrounds me. I allow myself to rest completely in this stillness, noticing how the freedom of having surrendered fully to care beyond myself feels like the most tender, restorative gift. There is nothing pressing, nothing lingering, nothing that requires action. There is only the soft presence of calm, the gentle embrace of safety, the quiet intimacy of unburdened rest. I feel my body becoming even more weightless, yet deeply grounded in the support beneath me. My arms rest easily, my hands open softly, my legs settle naturally, and my chest rises and falls with perfect ease. I sense the final traces of the day's strain dissolving completely, carried away by the tender currents of care I have placed my burdens into. My heart softens entirely, my mind grows still, and my spirit feels tenderly cradled, as if suspended in the warm, patient embrace of love that does not falter. I allow this sensation to fill me fully, saturating every cell, every thought, every subtle space within me. I imagine my consciousness drifting slowly, as if lifted on a quiet, gentle wind, moving through layers of calm, through currents of warmth, through spaces of intimate peace. There is no urgency, no force, no expectation. There is only the steady unfolding of rest, a soft, delicate glide into the restorative calm of night. I sense the subtle intimacy of surrender wrapping fully around me, the gentle assurance of being held completely, and I rest in it without hesitation. Each moment of awareness deepens the sense of freedom, the untroubled calm, the tender, patient care that now surrounds every part of me. I feel the lingering warmth in my chest soften into a gentle, steady glow, radiating outward until every part of me is enveloped. The night is quiet, protective, and intimate, a slow, tender presence that carries me further into stillness. My body, my mind, my heart, my spirit are aligned in the soft, weightless rhythm of surrender. I sense the final boundaries of tension dissolving, leaving only the profound calm of being fully unburdened, fully trusted, fully cared for. I allow myself to drift deeper now, feeling the gentle cadence of breath, the intimate warmth of peace, the subtle buoyancy of release, guiding me steadily towards sleep. I am completely unburdened, entirely safe, entirely held. The quiet presence of care surrounds me, flows through me, and carries me effortlessly into rest. There is nothing left to hold, nothing left to worry over, nothing left to resist. I am free, I am light, I am safe, I am peaceful, and I am ready to sink fully into the restorative embrace of sleep. And as I drift, the gentle rhythm of night carries me onward, fully cradled, fully held, fully unburdened, until consciousness softens, thought dissolves, and rest flows endlessly, quietly, tenderly into the heart of sleep. In Jesus' name, amen.